So forgive me about the quality of this video because I'm not used to making these things. So I'm just really stoked about the ability to use AI image generation to make visuals and video pack stuff, and it works really well with the GIF Looper project that I have available. And so I think, you know, some of the ways that you can generate images are unlike anything that you could possibly think about doing in Unity or anything like that. So being able to make kind of like loops with this AI generation technology is really it's really a fun thing. If you don't know about Stable Diffusion or AI image generation, there's plenty of videos out there that kind of talk to you about it. What I'm going to show you is I'm going to run through just a lot of stuff. I'm going to put links to things so that you can find out yourself. I really want to just touch on the ways in which you can generate image sequences for the GIF Looper, and then there's videos to show you kind of like how to use the GIF Looper, stuff like that. But so I'm going to share my screen here. I'm using Zoom on this because I don't know what I'm doing. There is a free app for Mac called Diffusion B that allows you to run Stable Diffusion on your Mac. This isn't animation. This is just single images. It's a good way to test your prompts. And just to reiterate, if you don't know anything about this, like basically with these generation tools, you enter what you want to see, and then it makes it, and so there's a lot of engineering around these prompts, like how, what do you put in there, what will change something. There's a ton of ways that you can kind of like go down the rabbit hole of this. But anyway, it's good to have this or something like this on your computer to just kind of see what you might get if you're using Stable Diffusion animation. So I suggest, especially if you have a Mac, you ought to download this. There's some other things out there too, probably for Windows and stuff. So to follow that up, there is a search engine called Lexica, and it's lexica.art. I'll put links to all of this. This allows you to search images that have been made, and then it shows you the images that have been made with AI generation, but it also shows you the prompts that were used to get this image, as well as the seed. And all I know about the seed is, like, if you were to put this prompt in and not put this seed in, you might get a bunch of other images. But if you like this one, then it's a good idea to use this prompt and the seed to get something similar. It looks like there's other things that have been, formed with that seed. This is kind of, the best looking one. So anyway, there's a whole art to kind of figuring out the prompts that you want to use, all that kind of stuff. So, but it's another good way to see what you might get if you're generating images. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to show you is that there is, and I'll put a link in there, there is this thing on what is called a Google Colabs, which I really don't know what it is, but it's basically like a way to use somebody else's computer to like run this Python stuff. Okay. So there's a link to this Deforum Stable Diffusion, 0.5. Okay. And what this does is allows you to make image sequences, okay, like animations. And I'm going to just run through it real quick. There is a video that really goes through all of the details of this stuff. And I will post a link to this video so that you can go through it. You can also install Stable Diffusion on your computer, and then a web UI called Automatic 1111. But I haven't done that yet. It seems even more complicated. And this Google Colabs doesn't always run. It's not always free. Like if you use it in the middle of the night or something, it's usually will work. If you use it during times that there's high usage, they won't connect unless you pay. So I would try it at different times if it's not working. So anyway, this is a whole thing that you fill out to generate some videos. And so over here, I have the Syntax GIF Looper kind of like instructions. And I want to show you kind of like really what we're talking about here is kind of like making image sequences for the GIF Looper. Right now I'm still running it at a fairly low resolution. You're welcome to take the GIF Looper and up the resolution and all that kind of stuff if you want to. That's fine. I'm running it at this resolution right now. So I'm going to just quickly go through the things that I would tell you to do whenever you're setting up this all of these scripts here that you run control kind of like what you're going to get with your image sequences. Okay, so this will be covered in that other video that I show you. I wouldn't mess with this too much. Now down to settings. So I've found, because you can have camera movement, I've found that using this 3D mode is really cool, because there's basically it's a camera that you can move around in 3D space. Okay. There is also a video input, which is really interesting. And you may have seen a little Instagram post that I did where I just took a video of the OPZ, and then I kind of like ran it through this with another prompt, and it made it kind of look like it was on a beach and stuff. So it's kind of like you can take video and you can run through this thing, and it basically takes those frames and converts it to something else that you describe. So all that to say, I'm going to do right now, I am going to do 30 frames, because that represents one GIF loop or one sprite sheet in the GIF Looper project. So there's 14 sprite sheets. Each one has 30 frames. So that's like, 15 frames a second, and 30 frames just kind of, that's all you need. You need 30 frames for one sprite sheet. Before I ran 420 frames, I think, which is kind of like, 14 sprite sheets. So I did kind of like one whole animation. And then I'll build the sprite sheets from that. I wouldn't change this. These right here are for if you're doing 2D, as well as this and this. This is 3D camera movements, okay? And I don't know anything that I'm doing here. I just found somebody on YouTube that put these numbers out there and showed what they did with it. And there's also graphing calculators that you can see what happens here. The only thing I do know is this number right here controls what this does during this amount of frames. Okay, so anything after that T is kind of like the frame count. Like over so many frames, it's going to do this right here. So I don't even have 120 frames in this, but right now I'm not going to change it. I'm just going to kind of leave it the same. I don't want it to move too fast. And so this is just kind of making randomish camera movements just, for fun. You can tweak these forever after you see what you get, it's just, whatever. This, I don't even know what's going on here. I mean, this strength schedule changes the strength a little bit, So this is only if you're inputting video. I've never gotten the resume animation to work yet, so I just wouldn't mess with that. So these prompts, this prompt is for starting out with an initial image. These are just, I would just comment these things out. And then this animation prompt is the actual prompt that you're using that this thing is going to make animations with. This number right here is the frame, the keyframe in which this prompt becomes effective. So, I'm only doing 30 frames in this one. So I'm just kind of like giving it a slightly different prompt here. And the prompt I'm using is this long, I mean, you can read it here. It's something that I've crafted over time, and I can use it again and again and just change. I can just change, keyframes and stuff like that to make it be different. This is all stuff that it's going to save this in a text file so you can reload it and do it later. Okay, so this is the image settings, and I'm pulling this from this GIF Looper over here. So 1014 by 468. That's what I've got right here. So that's the exact image dimensions that you need to build the sprite sheets for the GIF Looper. This seed is something that I pulled out of that initial Stable Diffusion, Diffusion B thing. And so, it can be changed. I'm not sure if I want to change that right now. I actually don't know what's going to happen if I change that, but we can just try something and see what happens. This stuff is explained later on. I've never touched any of this. This is the folder that it's going to be saved in later, which it connects to your Google Drive, and then it saves stuff to your Google Drive. So let's see. There's some other things that can change the look of stuff, but we don't really have to go through it right now. This is the last frame of a image sequence that I made before, and it it went from something to something else. So anyway, so let's just look what happens if we do this and see what we get. So I'm gonna try to connect here, see if it connects. Great, it's connecting. And I'm gonna do run all. And this is gonna take a bit of a time. I need to connect my Google Drive. And it's going to take time here, so I'll probably cut off and then come back to it. Okay, so this is the image that it's starting with. So this, this was made because I changed the seed, and it's probably a little bit, it's got too many kind of like tiny little things in it, but it could turn out pretty cool. What I would do is usually experiment with the initial um, image until I was sure that I really liked what it started with. Um, and then let it run, after that. But we'll see what happens here. Um, I like to go and check my drive uh, and look and see it's saving the frames in this drive. So I like go here and you know see how the frames are relating to each other. So it's making this kind of animation right here. So let's go back here and see what it's doing. So it's on frame 11 of 30. And I changed the prompt at like frame 15. So we'll see what happens that, whenever it gets to frame 15, we'll see if it does anything different. So let's go back over here. So look what it's doing. Okay, so this is one that I was working on a while back, um, which is really cool. So you can experiment with this a lot, and who knows what you'll get. I mean, you can think of this as like you could do anything. I'm doing these very obscure kind of like um, kind of abstract kind of visual things, but I mean, you could do just anything, photorealistic things. It's amazing what you can get out of some of this AI kind of art stuff. Like I probably wouldn't end up using this one. I would probably stop it because I don't like kind of the grittiness of these things, and I would kind of change that seed and see what happens. And we can even try that. We can even say, let's go here and let's change this seed to like, I don't know, 500 and see what we get. So if we change that seed to 500 and we run this again, let's see what it does. And I'm also telling it to give me a random seed for each frame. You can tell it to have a fixed seed or something else. So that's another thing that you can mess with. Right now, I'm kind of wanting some randomness, but if you're trying to do a face, like a human face or something, you might want to do a fixed seed, so that it's not changing a bunch of things. So we'll see so see, this is like just really different than what I just just did. Just by changing that one number, it's making something completely different. So that's got kind of a cool watery look to it. And there's camera movement going on, on these things. Oh, save that. Okay. And I think that's really what you're getting. The animation is kind of the camera movement, because it's not, you can't tell it like make waves and it like just kind of like make different waves. You can more think of it as you're getting animation from like camera movement and different seeds, which are generating slight variations in the imagery as well as the noise. So it's like, it's not like you can say, show me a boat going across the water. It's not animation in that sense. You can think of it as more kind of stop motion animation, where if you can generate an image by itself that is a slight, different than the image before it, that's what you're getting. So we can see, but some of the results that you can get from this are different than anything I've seen, because it has more of a organic quality to it. Like, yeah, in part of my prompt has film grain in the prompt, and you can tell it like lenses, you can tell it 50 millimeter lens, close-ups, like you can do all kinds of stuff. And so anyway, okay, so I think that's enough to get anyone interested in this kind of started. Like I said, I'll put some links in my my YouTube video. And also, I would just say to make your, sprite sheets. So, you can use the Photoshop action. You can just put in Photoshop tools. You ought to go through this video by Tony, and then you can use this GIF Looper generator tool. And like each one of these is a sprite sheet. So you put your images here, select them. So I haven't done that in a while, so I'm trying to remember. But anyway, hope to see some really fantastic stuff. And I'm probably, maybe, cross my fingers, I may make a bunch of these and put them up as being available to get at Synthpaks. I know I haven't updated things in a while, but this makes the GIF Looper, I think, a little bit more relevant. Again, because there are, I don't know, I think this kind of generation stuff works really well with the idea that you're using raster images and raster-based animation, because there are limitations in Unity to kind of like the kind of imagery that you can make. So it's very, very relevant, I think. And I think that's it. Thanks. Enjoy.